Ladies and gentlemen, we have BUN-B. He's on the road, always active. Bun, it's always good to see you. I just hate the circumstances right now of what you're talking about. Um, you've been seeing everything going on. George Floyd was a guy. He was from Houston, um, right in your backyard. I know you know his great brother, Stephen Jackson. Did you know George as well?
I didn't know George well, but it's I know several people who knew him,
Right.
and people that I got a lot of love for. Of course, Stephen Jackson, but then also people like there's a rapper down here named Cal Wayne. Cal Wayne's from Third Ward. He's from the same um, project housing that George Floyd is from, and so he looked up to George. George was the big homie, and just seeing the pain in their eyes and the grief in their voice, you know, has been hard to watch. So I wanted to make sure, first and foremost, that I was there for my homies, at
Mhm.
their, at this time of loss and pain and grief for them. Because, what's the point of being OG if you're not ready to stand in the gap for the young cats when they're going through it? So these are the
Absolutely.
moments where OGs are definitely supposed to be active.
And one of the things, Brian, is that we've seen since the popularization of these phones and everything, man, we've seen so many of these incidents, so many of these murders, time and time again for years. But we never get desensitized to it. Like every time I see one, it's just as horrific as when I saw the first one. Like Memorial Day, man, the time where we're supposed to actually be remembering those who we have lost. They killed this man on that day.
Yeah, and I thank God that the propensity of these kind of acts happening to people of color around this country, and the fact that we see these images time and time again, that I haven't lost my compassion, you know what I'm saying, for
Right.
people, and that I still have empathy for my brothers and sisters out here who are being murdered senselessly in their communities by people of authority and people in uniforms. Thank God that I'm not numb to this by now, because these kind of things, no matter how often we see them, how many times the images are portrayed for us, they should never be normalized. I spent a lot of time talking to my grandkids and other young children today about the fact that I know that they see this stuff a lot, and that I just don't want them to think this is normal, because it's far from normal. Young children nowadays are growing up thinking that these kind of interactions with the police is just what life is, and it's not what life is, and we shouldn't stand for it. And so parents and grandparents and all of us should be out here being active against these kind of things, because we want these children to grow up in a better world than we did. Our grandparents and our parents fought for us to have this level of comfort that we're allowed to have now. Living in suburban houses, having big screen televisions, being able to go to the mall and buy all the nice shit. This is only because of the struggles and sacrifices that the generations before us had, and stood up to. And so this is the year, I feel like this is the most important year for my generation, right? This will be the year with COVID and all these different murders and everything that's happening right now. This will be the year that we look back at, in history. And when my grandkids, are looking at TV and, one of these shows or whatever the outlet is 20 or 30 years from now, and they show what was happening in America in 2020, they look up to me and ask me, Grandpa, what were you doing when all of this was going on? I want to be able to look them in the face and tell them I was out there in the streets fighting for these people. And I want it to be a foreign concept by then. I would like that in 20 or 30 years that they actually have no frame of reference of what police have done to people of color, other than seeing it as a news clip in the past. Like I don't
Absolutely.
want them to grow up in this America.
Yeah, and it's so important, Bun. You're one of the guys who has been very much active when these type of situations go on, when it's some type of need for relief or anything, man. Like you're one of the people who we always look up to as one of the leaders of the hip hop community. How do you feel about others in the past, this week, especially the past 48 hours, just getting galvanized, going out there? We see the protests in Louisville, Kentucky for Breonna Taylor as well. New York City, Miami, Los Angeles, Philadelphia, Houston, all across the country is going on right now.
Well, I love it. You know what I'm saying? I love the fact that people right now, young brothers and sisters of color, are not just sitting on the sideline or just standing in front of a television shaking their head or just scrolling through their timeline on their apps and just looking at something different. I love the fact that they're energized, they're galvanized, they're activated. Unfortunately, young people of color spend a lot of their life protecting their neighborhoods, right? But it's usually against other people of color, right? So they have the experience, they have the weaponry, they have the tutelage that it takes to protect their communities right now. So all we have to do is help them recognize who their true enemy is to protect themselves and their family in their communities. But I'm proud of them for the fact that they've been able to stand up and let themselves be heard. I tell young people, would I be rioting or looting right now? No, that wouldn't be the course of action I would take. But if this is the way that they feel they need to be heard, and keep in mind, I don't think this cop would have been arrested and charged had these people not taken to the streets of Minneapolis and expressed their pain in the way that they've chosen to express it. So if this is what it takes for people to hear us and to feel us, because we tried kneeling, right? And they said they didn't want to hear that. We tried peaceful protests and marches and rallies, and they didn't want to hear that. Nothing happened. And then as soon as we get angry and take our frustration out in the streets of America, well, the president wants to call us thugs or whatever. But why didn't he call the man that murdered George Floyd a thug? Right? Like I don't understand that. But regardless of the action that he chooses to take, we choose to take our own level of action. And the media is definitely manipulating the footage, whether they realize it or not, whether it's purposely when it comes to conservative media or unconsciously when it comes to maybe more liberal streams of media, that there's a lot of people that are committing these acts right now that aren't even black people, right? They're hiding under the fact that there's a lot of anonymity, with people wearing masks and being
Right.
covered up. So they're hiding behind that anonymity. A lot of them are leaning on the fact that they know that the media will present this a certain way through a certain lens. And so they can hide behind their privilege right now. But either way, when justice in America has never been given to any people, right? Anytime people in America have wanted justice and have wanted reciprocation for things that have happened to them, they've had to retaliate in a certain way to be heard and seen. So this is par for the course, and like my sister Tamika Mallory was saying, yesterday in Minneapolis, is that y'all taught us how to burn and loot. Like
Hmm.
we learned this from our oppressors, because every time we tried to build a Black Wall Street or Rosewood or any kind of community where we were able to self-sustain ourselves, y'all came through, y'all burned us, y'all murdered us, y'all looted and rioted in our territory. So if where did we learn this from? Where did we learn this behavior from? We were taught this behavior.
Man, you talked earlier about Trump and just his comments, and it didn't surprise me the way he came off, but it still disgusted me at the same time. With the threats and you know you loot, we shoot. I'm like, man,
I'm
this.
taken aback by the dog comment. I'm really, really disturbed about the dog comment. I don't know if you saw, but he talked about the fact that the Secret Service was ready to sick dogs on people last night. And we already know what that harkens back to,
Oh yeah,
right? We already know what that imagery represents. We know who that's been perpetrated against in the past. And who would think that in 2020, last night, we almost saw dogs attack people of color in the streets of America? You know how cold that would have been? Like, I don't know if I can curse or not, but that would have been
oh yeah,
effed up to see, Sha. That would have been real fucked up to see. Dogs attacking people in the streets for standing up for their rights and trying to be acknowledged and wanting America to acknowledge their humanity, right? But people are being stripped of their dignity right now, the way that they're treating people of color in the streets of America. And, people are fighting back, and I don't blame them. So, son, I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm good.
yeah. This is going
That was
on.
my son right there. I had a long talk with my son yesterday. I didn't mean to cut you off, Shy, but
No, go ahead.
I had a
It's a little technical difficulty. Bunny's out in the street right now. Okay, we got him back. We
Oh,
got you
I'm
back.
sorry.
No, it's all good, my brother. We know you active. We know you active. You got to keep active, man. It's a blessing to have you on here. But you were saying you was talking to your son yesterday. Yeah, we got Bun back.
Hey, can y'all hear me? Can y'all see me?
Yep, we can hear you. You're kind of frozen a little bit. Dev, why don't we throw to we have a clip of Beyonce talking about everything. Let's throw to that clip while we get Bun together. Okay. So we have Bun B in the field and
Let me see.
okay, there you go. Perfect. Bun is back.
Sorry about that. I just pulled up at to my granddaughter's house, and that's why I brought up my son, because I remember having those conversations with him about how he and his friends would move as young black men in America, right? And so my son called me yesterday. He said he was proud of me for being in Minneapolis and always being willing to fight the good fight. And I explained to him that I do these things because you're a father now, and so you need to know how to stand up and fight for your children, because the same way that I fought for you, you're gonna have to fight for them. Unfortunately, I hope not. Right? I would love for this to die with me. I would give my life today if my kids and my grandkids could grow up in an America where they didn't have to deal with racism and police brutality. I would lay it down right now. I'm gonna holler at y'all. Game over.
Hmm.
Willingly, you know. And I think yesterday was the first day my son realized that he's the parent of black children who may have to grow up in a world and deal with this. Right? As a man, he's prepared to deal with it, but it really just hit him that, yo, I'm a father of black kids. My kids might he couldn't grasp. Yesterday was the first day he had to grasp the concept that something might happen to his children just because they're black,
Wow.
you know? And he was very upset. And I'm upset just thinking about it. Because I mean, they're children. They shouldn't have to grow up in a country like that. Like, all kids, like I told my granddaughter earlier, like, all you should have to worry about is TikTok and good grades, right? Because when our children see these images, they ask us, why are they treating black people like that? Like, why are they treating
Yeah.
us like that? When white children see this, they ask their parents, why are they treating them like that? Because the reality is that probably 99.9% of white children will never have to deal with that. You know, for a white child, a white person to grow up in America and to be treated the way that cop treated George Floyd, they would have to be what society would look at as the lowest of the low. They would have to be a drug addict, junkie, thief, right? In order to be
Yeah.
treated like that. And even at that lowest, we see mass murderers that are treated better than George Floyd was treated.
Yeah.
We live in a fucked up world right now, man. But I'm willing to put my life on the line for a better America for my children and for my grandchildren. So every time these things happen, I go in, I pray to God. I said, let George Floyd be the last one. You know,
I
let
would
George
love it,
Floyd
man.
be the last victim of police brutality. Let him be the last black man that has to die at the hands of the police in the streets. Right?
It's a shame, man. This is some footage. This is happening live right now as we speak. People out in the streets, man. They still protesting. Just getting active, man. This is something that actually it had to happen, man. This is in Atlanta, Georgia, and as you can see, it's very peaceful right now, man. They've been painting our brothers and sisters in Atlanta in a bad light, man. And like you said earlier, we gotta be aware and very cognizant of these anarchists that's coming in and infiltrating and burning some of these black businesses, man. And
I don't know if you've seen. I was sent a video, right? And I think it was KP from Organized Noise that had it. I think he sent it to Big Boy. But I was sent this video in Atlanta where some young brothers were downtown protesting. I want to say near City Hall, because the guy in the video was saying that he was just in that area 3 weeks ago doing jury duty, and they came up on a stack of bricks, right?
wow,
A stack of bricks, like in the vicinity of City Hall. Now, there's no construction going on at that City Hall, and even if there was, like, City Halls aren't built of bricks, right? They're not built of bricks like a house or a regular wall. And the young guys recognized that that was a setup, right? It was planted there for them to throw bricks so that they could be videotaped, throwing bricks at City Hall and destroying City Hall to make them look like the thugs that the president dictates that they are. And he's a dictator. So that's why I say dictate, because he's a dictator in the worst sense of the word, not
very
just in the
strategic.
oratory sense, but in the worst sense of the word.
Yeah,
So I'm glad that some of our young people are out here. They're not indifferent to this stuff. They're not blind, and they're not immune to it. They care about the world because this is the world that they inherit,
you're
right? This is the
absolutely
world
right.
that they inherit. This is the world where they look at, and if they want to start a family and raise children, this is the world that they have to do that in. And they don't accept it. They don't blindly accept it and go with it, you know? And so
Yeah,
I'm glad that they're out there being heard and being seen.
we can't. We can't accept it. What was it like for you being out there on the front lines, man? And by the way, this is not the first time that you've gone out and protested injustice, man. You're one of the ones who's always been on the front lines. You could always catch Bun on CNN or one of them news organizations when something happens. It's just in his heart, it's in the spirit to do it.
Yeah, no, I was in Ferguson. I remember, going to Jenna. I've been at different protests here locally. And because I know I have a voice, right? I know that I have a voice, and I know that people call me the OG, and people give me, accolades, and people give it up to me, and I have to earn that, right? I feel like I got to earn that every day, the right to walk these streets as an OG, and it's necessary, man. And I wasn't alone. I was with my brother Trey the Truth, who's always a soldier in arms with me on these things locally or nationally. I
He's a
was with the
superhero.
brother. I was with the brother of my son, who has
Yeah,
been going above and beyond the duty. Because as a black man who's been to prison, he doesn't wish that on any other young black man in America or in the world for that matter. And so he stands up, and we're just out here. We're out here doing what we feel obligated to do. You know, this is our obligation. The fact that we know better, we're going to show better. And I make sure that I make myself available as a voice, because when these things happen, we want to make sure that our points of view are elocuted correctly. We want to make sure that we're not misunderstood, that we know very clearly what's happening in this country, that we can speak to it and we can speak to our truth. And so I'll always be the voice of reason and the voice of the truth when these things happen. At this point, I've kind of accepted the fact that this is what my life is led up to, me being this kind of person. And I accept that role with honor, and I carry it as a badge of honor, to be out here and be able to represent my people. Everybody, I know there's a lot of people that probably would love to go to Minneapolis or Atlanta and stand with their people. And probably right now, due to COVID, they don't have the resources. They don't have the ability to do
right.
it. But I'm in a position to do it. So as long as I am in a position, I'm going to buy that plane ticket, or I'm going to get in that car and drive. I'm going to be where my influence can help. So I'm going to go and speak. I'm going to pray for these people. I'm going to pray with these people. And I have no problem, again, I have no problem putting myself on the front line in the line of fire, right? Because I'm going to die someday anyway. So I would rather my family and my children and my grandchildren see me dying standing up for what's right. If that's the case, do I want to die today? No. But if I gotta die today, I don't want to die for some bullshit, right? I want to die
Mhm.
doing something real. Let my legacy be the fact that if I lost my life, I lost it doing something, positive for my family, for my generation, for my people. I'm up for it. I'm here for that all
Yeah.
day.
Yeah, some of the people you were with even got arrested protesting. I heard that Mais and Tamika Mal, she got arrested as well. A couple of other people that was in the protest. What was it like just talking to the people on the ground, man? Not just the artists, but just the people out there in Minnesota.
There's a lot of pain in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and it doesn't begin with George Floyd. There's been a lot of acts perpetrated against people of color by the police force in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
For years.
And George Floyd's death is basically the straw that broke the camel's back, right? These people have pled with the district attorney and the judicial system in the city of Minneapolis about instances that have happened to people of color there before. People have been assaulted, several people have been murdered, and I know that I want to say that there's at least two cops who have committed murder in the line of duty in Minneapolis who not only have been held accountable for their actions, but they're not even regulated to desk duty. They're still on patrol in the city. So they're basically still stalking their next victims. And the city
Yeah.
of Minneapolis can't stand for it anymore. They tried to protest peacefully. They tried to lean on the compassion of the judicial system and the district attorney's office, and they begged and they pleaded for justice, and they weren't given any. And so now they're fed up. They're fed up. They're frustrated. They're tired. And so this is what happens when our politicians and our government and the people that are sworn to protect us don't protect us and don't listen to us when we tell them that things are happening. This is what happens. This is how the blood tends to boil, and this is the pot boiling over. And again, like I said, would this have been my course of action at 47 years old? No. But do I knock young people that don't know what else to do and don't know how to manage this aggression? Right? I just stand with them. I pray for them. I pray with them, and I stand with them. You know?
Yeah, we gotta get some type of action going, man. Like, we've been sitting down and sitting back for too long. This is bigger than just sending a tweet or sending a post in the Instagram page, man. It's great to see people active. Um, I've been encouraged as well. I've been seeing some people outside of hip hop, like Taylor Swift. She posted some things that I thought was real cool. Speaking up, man, because this is a humane thing. It's just not black people that got to speak up. We need everybody to speak up on this.
No, no. All people have to be offended by what they saw. That's the only way that this changes. When all people are offended and all people take action, right? Because what happens is that these injustices happen in all of these different communities of color. So our Asian brothers are standing with us. Our Latino brothers are standing with us. Our Native American brothers are standing with us. Immigrants from all other countries in America, our African brothers are standing with us. Our European brothers here are standing with us. And that's the only way that we can, let ourselves be heard and let the world know that collectively we're not going to stand for it. Because injustice to one is injustice for all. And for the older people like us who understand the way the world works, we know that while these young people are taken to the streets, we've got to go to our politicians, we've got to go to our legislators, we've got to go to our local governments and our national and federal governments and state governments as well, and ask for and demand policy change. Right? That's going to be the key difference, right? We have to find different ways to hold law enforcement accountable for when they commit these kind of acts against us on in the course of duty, right? We can't just let them do this to us. And unfortunately, we can't count on police departments to police themselves. Whatever internal affairs is there for, they're not doing it right, right? So we need independent counsel in a position to review these charges, right? And for them, people that are not affiliated, associated, or beholden to the police departments to stand up and be like, okay, we've reviewed the evidence and it's very clear there's been a miscarriage of justice. And so this person needs to be arrested and charged, right? We need we need to find like a lower threshold for when police commit these crimes and garner citations, because the officer that did this, that had his knee on that brother's neck, had at least 18 citations against him. So he should never have still been in uniform patrolling the streets. So we have to have a review board, independent of the police force, that looks at when these officers have these different citations and say, look, you had 3, 4, 5 different charges leveled against you. We don't think you respect the integrity of the uniform that you wear. We think you're misusing the authority that we've given you. So you got to get out. You got to sit down, and not just desk duty either, not administrative leave. Like, you've got to go.
Oh, get the hell out of here, man.
Because
Get the hell out of
if
here.
I get three citations on my driver's license, I can't drive. So why should he be allowed to police?
Yeah, because they seeing us is less than, man. I'm finish my thought in a second. We got Trey the Truth, who we was just talking about. He's here. Trey,
That's my
what's up,
brother.
my brother?
Hey, what up, y'all? Y'all good?
Yeah, man. We keeping it together. Trey, this is another great guy. I call him a real life superhero, man. Like, I didn't literally see how we see these cops killing people. I've literally seen video footage of Trey saving people's lives, like literally boats picking people up in floods and bringing them food and everything, man. Trey, we was just talking about you and Bun out in Minnesota. Was it yesterday? You guys were out there?
Yeah,
Yep.
yes.
Yeah, yesterday, man. From your perspective, tell us about that situation going out there.
I mean, to the most part, yeah, to the most part, it's just, it's a situation that I feel where we at now is something that has to happen. Like me and Bun talked yesterday. This is probably one of the most monumental moments of, I guess, our generation. This is what's going to be part of our future history books. You know what I'm saying, for the kids to come. But the main thing is, man, it's something that needs to be done. It on one side, we happy because we seeing so many people unite and people actually not moving like they scared. But on the flip side, you have them pulling so much wool over our eyes. You get a man manslaughter, which that charge can get dropped at any given moment. I don't know if y'all seen, they just said he on suicide watch. What the hell gonna be the most random shit for somebody to say he suicidally killed himself? You see what I'm saying? Then with the mug shot, that's an old mug shot. I could be speaking too fast, Bun. You correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think nobody's seen the actual video of him being took in.
No, no,
I didn't
and
see
I,
that.
I wonder if I wonder out loud if them bringing him into custody, is it more about holding him accountable, or is it about keeping him safe?
I think it's about keeping him safe and trying to make us pipe down and then probably drop the charges.
But
That's what I'm my vision of what I think they're trying to do. But shit, this man got over he had over 18 cases. It's not the first person he killed. You know what I'm saying? So it's like clearly the DA got a relationship with him, or clearly whoever who's supposed to do the investigating inside internal affairs.
Yeah,
Clearly, all of them got some type of relationship, so it
what
got to be
what I
sick out
just
their
say,
hand.
Chef?
exactly,
It
exactly.
have to be. It got to be. I think it should be somebody who not from there, somebody who have no affiliation, and it could be somebody of color. But when I say color, not just black, it could be any color, any race, just a race that won't typically tend to side with them. One that's gonna understand both sides of the spectrum, both parts of the world. You know what I'm saying? That's what I think, and
Right.
I think that's what's gonna make the difference. Because right now, let alone we just on the phone. I mean, we just on here talking about this one dude. What about the other three? They ain't been talked about at all.
And that's
I
why
don't.
Minneapolis, you saw it yesterday, Trey, when we was at the press conference and they announced that one officer had been arrested. Nobody was happy about that. Nobody
Then
was like,
nobody
okay.
cared.
Yeah, they were like, oh, okay, well, we can go home now. It wasn't none of that. People were like, yeah, talk to me when you arrest the other three. Like,
All
they took
four.
they took very little pride in the fact that 1 out of 4 officers was arrested for killing that man. Like, people were like, okay, that's cool, that's a good start, but
Yeah.
that's not the end all be all. We're not going home. Like, you can't pacify us by just arresting that one dude. It's not
No,
gonna
we
work.
gotta
My
keep it going.
e-
If we, not to cut you off, Trey. I don't know if you guys are seeing this footage. This is footage live in Atlanta going on, and the police are getting ready to tear gas these people right now.
Of course they are.
And
Of
see, I
course
said
they
that
are.
earlier, man.
The police are
If you,
literally moving. I'm looking at the news right now. The police are in Union Square right now, literally pushing people in New York back. They have the shields and the riot gear on, and they're physically like pushing people back. It's crazy.
Now, there's a viral video going around right now, and I couldn't save it from a private page, but it's showing how the Chinese protesters deal with police in Hong Kong and in China,
That was
because
incredible.
they live in an oppressed society, right? They don't even have the right to protest, right? And they're nonviolent protesters, but it doesn't matter. They're not allowed to have an independent voice and speak their opinion in a communist country like China. And so, because of the fact that they do it on a regular basis, and the fact that they have deeper repercussions for them should they choose to protest, they've got it down to an art and a science, right? Like they know that the government watches their texts and their emails, so they pass the word around through air. They go in different communities where they know their people are, and they airdrop the information on what they're going to do, because you can't monitor airdropping.
right?
And
Mm.
so there's ways to circumvent the system, right? And we're just a couple of years behind them, and we don't have as stringent a restriction on speaking our truth as they do. But make no mistake about it, when America feels like it's time to oppress, they know very well how to do it.
Yeah, and you know something that I noticed, man. It's like, speaking on America, most have been molded to be scared as far as when in these situations, because you got to think, if say if it would have been 5 or 6 people out there that wasn't scared, bro would still be living right now. But they have people so trained in the mind, like you can't do it. And the thing is, if you take 5 to 10 people that will, guess what? They're gonna start retreating. They're gonna start thinking about, okay, well maybe I can't handle this situation like that. I'm looking on this thing right now. It says that's a fire. What city? That's in
That's in
Chicago.
Chicago. Chicago. They
So let me tell you this, Bun. Did you see that? I just got a picture and a video. Now the people who started, I seen a couple people who started rise. I seen it first in Minnesota where they showed the picture, and it was actually an officer that was doing it. They had
Mhm.
one in Houston. The dude have the Secret Service, the earpiece.
Oh,
Mhm.
So my thing is, if they doing riots, why would you have that? Like, I'm curious to know. Then I
These are
seen
coord
something else
these are
where people,
coordinated these are coordinated efforts by instigators designed to set to put us in a position to be the face of dissension, right?
yeah,
That's the problem, right? They want it's a setup. I was talking to Shaheem about that, right? Where they dropped some bricks off in front of City Hall in Atlanta, wanting the black people to pick up the bricks and throw the bricks so they could be on camera to be seen in the way that the president wants them to be seen and be like,
look, I,
there,
I
I
was just
told you.
about to say that. How is every randomly everybody always have bricks? Think about it in
And
right.
every protest, right?
even in Minneapolis, at the police station that was set on fire, they say that they didn't break the glass to get into the police station, but that the glass was cut. Right? These young kids don't have the
Mm.
equipment and the know-all to cut glass. That's
Yeah,
not how they operate. They say the glass was cut in like a triangle pattern. That's not how they operate. They
Yeah,
don't
these
move
guys are
like
not.
that.
These guys are not arsonists.
You
and
know,
see that's another. You got to, bro, a whole precinct.
and they're not
It's
professional.
possible, but still, like that's they damn so. Because I think they doing it because they want to end up. I think it's all still lead back to martial law in a sense. That's they want to control everything, and
They
it's just
want
that
to.
ain't gonna happen.
You see how they doing in Minnesota right now. They got they said they got the military out there for the first time since World War II, and the
National
guy,
Guard walking the
yeah,
streets.
he was
Look,
like, "This means we're all in." Like he
Stack.
was
Look,
happy.
Steven Jackson literally just before I got on here texting me. He like, bro, we at the store. They're about to start firing rubber bullets at everybody. You see what I'm saying? Like I
Yeah,
said something about that earlier, man. You have some people. Like, did y'all see the thing going viral where the dude was trying to get the officer badge number and he slapped it out of his hand and a dude ended up knocking the officer out? Like,
Man,
you got some people that's just, some of these officers trying to do too much. You know what I'm saying? You have some that ain't. So it just, like I said, it comes to a point where there's no room. Me and Bun talked about it last night. There's no room to be scared because we have to protect our future, our kids.
And if you're
Like, you know what
scared,
I'm
just
saying?
get out the way.
Hey
If you
guys.
don't agree, like I don't agree with everything, but I'm gonna stand with them. And I ain't scared to get out there. I ain't
Hey
scared to
Right.
put
guys.
myself in the line of fire. I'm a black man in America. I've been in the line of fire my whole life.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? I've had to protect myself in neighborhoods and communities across America. So I ain't scared of no police. We ain't scared of going to jail or nothing like that. Do we want to die? No. Do we want to go to jail? No. But if it means
Right.
securing the future of our children in America, you goddamn right we gonna
That's a
go to
well
jail.
worth sacrifice.
one
It's
Well
million
not.
worth.
I
percent.
told him earlier, Trey. If I could give my life today to end all of this, man, it's a wrap. I'ma
Yep.
holler at y'all.
Oh,
My
they going,
beautiful
Fact.
granddaughter
they
right
going.
now. My
Oh
beautiful
man,
Hey.
granddaughter,
the young
children
queen.
outside playing right now. That's what this shit is all about. It pains me and it sickens me to have to explain what's happening in America to these kids. They outside playing right now. That's all they should fucking have to worry about. That's it. That's all they children need to worry about. But unfortunately, black children don't have that. They don't have that, right? They don't have that luxury. Black children in
Yeah.
America have to grow up too fast for so many different reasons, and it's not fair. And I'm getting tired of living through this over and over and over again. So, I mean, I pray that George Floyd is the last black man that has to die like this,
Right.
right? This should be the last time America should have to see this on
And,
television. Man, we
and
off that.
and it's definitely gonna be powerful. This is gonna change a lot because, again, you got people protesting in Europe. You got people protesting London, all across the world right now. So, and again, protesting. I'm not saying, well, just because people go stand out and put their hands up, that's not necessarily help all the way helping the cause. But I'm saying the fact is, it impacted the world. This somebody from Third Ward, Houston, Texas. So I'm looking at so many people post and do what they need to do to stand for him and the family that have no idea who he is. So I know the impact. You can tell when people really set an impact. This is an
Injustice
impact.
anywhere is injustice everywhere. Y'all know I do gumball. I got people hitting me from London, from Scotland. My homeboy, he's a sheik in Dubai. He just sent me scripture from the Quran. They're praying for us. They're praying, and they stand with us.
Yeah,
It's wild,
bro.
man.
The
It's
the
wild
man
out here right now.
the man wife left him. That should be that. If she's stepping away from it, I don't know how the
Just the
rest of these
thought,
officers can't step away from
just the thought that in 2020, generations of people have died, man.
Yeah,
it.
I
Yep.
mean,
Mm-mm.
people are tired of it, man. And Trey, I definitely think you was on to something earlier when you were saying that, you got these people, you put these people in the black community to police these black communities, and they're scared of us. It's like they don't know how to deal with black people, but really, you just got to treat us like regular human beings.
And don't
But they don't see us as regular human beings when they interact with us. They
You're right.
come into the situation with a preconceived notion of what a black man is, a threat.
Yep. And the other thing to add with that, Bun, they put some of the wrong. They think just because you put a black person in the hood, that's how it works. But when you go to
No,
putting somebody in the hood that feel like they have superior authority and can mistreat and handle people, that shit ain't gonna fly either. You know what I'm saying? You have
look.
to have
Let's
somebody
be
who
honest. Let's
understands.
be honest. Let's be honest. There's a contingency of people who apply to be a police officer to have authority over people in this country, right? You got a lot of suckers. I'm just gonna lay it out plain and clear. You got a
Hmm.
lot of suckers that's been suckers all their life, right? That weren't prepared to man up, right? And
Yep.
so they think that the badge and the gun gives them leverage over people, right? So they're not here to protect and serve. They just want the authority and the ability to do something to you without reciprocation,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
Just a lot of suckers out here as police officers. Period.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
and
that's it. Point blank. Period, bro.
I was
That's
gonna
it.
say this too, man. Like a lot of these cops, it's a generational, it's a family thing too. So if your grandparents was racist and living that life, a lot of it is passed down. Like it don't matter if you listen to
No, all of it.
yeah.
All of it. Racism isn't inherent. It's not a trait. It's not in the genes. It's taught behavior. It's learned behavior. Nobody's born
1,000,000%.
racist. Nobody's born. If you put 10 white kids, 10 black kids, and 10 Mexican kids that are 3 years old in a group of each other, all they're gonna do is play.
Mm-hmm.
They're not gonna judge each other. They're not gonna say bad stuff to each other. Kids just want to play with kids. It's only until parents say, no, you can't play with them black kids. They're dirty. They're this, they're that. That's the only time that kind of stuff comes into play, because we're not born to hate. Hate is not inherent. It's not an inherent trait. It's taught.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I didn't mean to cut you off, Sha, but that's the
No,
reality.
go ahead. Yeah, no, we
No, that's
need
the
this
reality, man.
dialogue.
So whenever children, young people look at people that are different from them and judge them and call them names, that's because somebody around them taught them that behavior and taught them that language.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's so weird, man, because we literally are just trying to live. Like I look at the footage of George before the police came to him. They was just parked up, you know what I'm saying, just sitting there. He might have had something on his mind or whatever, but he wasn't even doing that. He just was living everyday life, man.
This man moved to Minneapolis to better himself. He realized that the conditions he were in were not allowing him to be the best him that he could be. And so he moved to Minneapolis to try to change himself. He had made some mistakes in his life. He paid for his mistakes, like Jack said yesterday. And so he moved to Minneapolis to try to separate himself from an element that wasn't good for him. And so this is what happens. This is the repercussions for trying to better yourself, being murdered in the street.
Man,
Yeah.
man.
That's,
And then also too, I want to shed some light on the young lady, Breonna Taylor. Man, she was just in the house.
yeah.
She was, from what I understand, she was actually asleep, and they came
Yeah.
and bust the door down.
Yeah, man. It's all this stuff heartbreaking. The mod thing is heartbreaking too. Um, what's
Just
even
jogging.
what's even more heartbreaking, today is the anniversary of George Floyd mother death. Today makes 2 years.
Wow.
Think about it,
So
man. He was calling for his mama in the midst of that.
what kind of circumstances you have to be as a grown man to call out your mother's name? You know what level of fear for your life you have to regress to that point? Can
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
imagine?
Yeah.
That's why it pissed me off when they said, "Oh, he had pre-existing heart surgeries." Heart problems. But the thing is, if you already got him cuffed, y'all applying pressure in every direction. What you think? We go in panic mode. Anybody would go in panic mode. Have you ever had somebody, let alone have one person laying on top of you where you can't move? You gonna probably pass out. You know what I'm saying? Especially 10 minutes. Imagine having four. Let me take that
And
back.
it's
You'll
not.
pass out in a minute or two, huh?
Hell
It's
yeah.
indefensible. Here, peep this scenario, y'all. Peep this scenario. I get out of this car right now with my gun. I go over to an 80-year-old woman and rob her. She has a heart attack and dies. I don't get to go to court and use the fact and say she was already old, she was going to die anyway. That's not a defense in a court of law.
You know what?
I'm
That's
going
a
to go
good
to
point.
jail for robbery and murder.
I never even thought of the way you just put that. That's very correct. Because
I,
that's what
I,
they
I
trying
can't
to
I
do. They
can't
trying
use
to
that.
say, yeah, they trying to say he was already having heart issues in the first place, and it's like,
Oh
nah, like nigga, that shit was
man,
tripping.
It's
you
going
see
down in
what's going
Atlanta.
down in Atlanta right now.
So here come the rubber bullets and the tear gas and the totalitarian tactics once again in America.
And
This
see,
is the
that can
result
come
of
from
people trying to stand up for their rights and voice their feelings. This is what's done to them in America. You wonder they lash out the way they do.
yeah,
Wow.
When you use force against peace, how long do you expect that you can use force against peace before peace brings force back? Come
right.
on, man.
You ever tried to back somebody in the corner and they want to get out? What you think gonna happen? I can't hear what he's saying, but he
Yeah,
looked terrified.
Yeah, he talking now.
Yo,
Yeah, we can hear you,
y'all hear
bro.
me?
Yeah, we can hear you, bro.
Yeah, they shot a couple gases at us. Everybody just dispersed right now. So now it's like 9 o'clock. The police ready to like start attacking us now.
Look,
Oh
if
shit!
Oh man,
Okay,
get to a
it
safe
ain't nothing but
place, bro.
protesters lighting up fireworks right there.
all right, so look, my brother, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Look, try to find traffic cones.
Oh, I gotta go. Nigga, they got the National Guards out here. Oh
Man,
shit!
find you, get safety, brother. Get somewhere safe, brother.
I
Yeah.
got you,
I was gonna tell him when you deal with tear
bro.
gas,
They got the National Guards out here, man.
You say when you
but it
deal
ain't
with
gonna
tear
be rubber.
gas,
The
what?
National Guard don't shoot rubber bullets
They,
either.
Yeah.
but look at this.
See,
Look. I'm gonna let y'all get this.
there's a way to deal with tear gas in that kind of a situation. You need a traffic
I
cone
see
and a
that.
bottle of water. You cover it, you put the traffic cone over the tear gas canister, and you pour water through the hole at the top of the orange traffic cone, and it'll stop the tear gas.
Mm.
Oh,
Like
Okay.
yeah.
you have to pour fluid on top of the canister until it stops.
Yeah,
But
I
see
see. I'm
that's
glad
a
All
you.
level
right.
of preparedness that we aren't taught here. You know what I'm saying? We taught that we have the right to protest, but we got to learn how to protest.
Yeah,
Man, you know it's crazy you said that.
you gotta
I
move
was just
right.
talking to somebody yesterday. We don't even know our proper gun rights. You ever notice how when them supremacists march, they can move around with the AKs or whatever they got going on. We don't even know our proper. So if it go to war, yeah, we can go to war with each other, but we gonna be on the bad end of the stick because we don't properly have the knowledge of what we can and can't do. You know what I'm saying? Or what can be done.
You think if 20 black men walked up on the steps of City Hall tomorrow with AR-15s that they're gonna let them go inside like they did in Kentucky, like they did in these other states? Hell no. They're gonna
Not
take
at
it as
all.
That's
active
all.
aggression when people color move like that. This was the same
Yeah.
principle that the Black Panther Party was built on, right? They knew their laws. The NRA forced the government to change gun laws in America because of the fact that black people educated themselves about the laws and started to open carry in the streets of America.
Yeah.
The system never works in our favor. If it does, they change the system.
Yep.
This shit wild, bro. This shit, I get more aggravated, man. The more I think about it and the more I see, man, because this shit ain't right.
Yeah.
And too many people died to get us where we are today for this shit to still be going on, man.
Yeah.
And
Too
Too
many
many
people
people
to even
died
name.
already.
a lot of this stuff, man. We can't be distracted from this upcoming election, man. And not just the national
Well,
election, man, but
I hope we all need to stand up to vote against him for what he got going on because he think the shit funny. You see what I'm saying?
And,
yeah,
let me be honest and real about some stuff because I see a lot of dialogue and a lot of conversation going on about demanding certain things from Joe Biden in order for Joe Biden to get our vote. Right? I can understand what people are saying, but here's the reality. I feel like a person like Joe Biden, even if he doesn't agree to everything that we want right now, that we'll be able to have a seat at the table to negotiate something.
Yes,
I feel like Joe Biden, in a position of power, is willing to negotiate with people to try to even have these conversations. Our president, our current administration, ain't even trying to have a conversation. They're not trying to
no,
hear it. Their whole mentality is do as you're told.
yeah,
And
yeah.
black
We
people and
definitely
people of color are tired of doing what they're told because it ain't helped the situation. It hasn't
at
helped the
all.
situation.
it
So
just
we
keep
off
going
that.
on.
You know, it's 2020, man. We off
Bro,
that. And we've been asking and we've been
where?
praying and we
Bro,
tried to
hey,
be
tell me
nice
everybody
and
spread it out, bro.
peaceful and nobody listened and nobody cared and they kept doing what they wanted to do and living their life comfortable. And now this is what happens,
Yeah,
you know? And then when people try to protest in the streets and be heard and express their first amendment, right? Like when people got mad and wanted to go outside because of COVID, they were allowed to express themselves with guns, which is outside with our voice.
yeah.
Man, so we live in two different Americas in this country, man. We live in two different Americas.
You're right. You're a
It's
million
time.
percent right about that, man. And
Hey
it's
Shaheem, if I go out on y'all, my phone might die.
no, it's
So
all
stay.
good, man.
Matter of fact,
Yeah,
let me check my. Yeah, I think I'm only working with a couple of percent myself.
Yeah, both of y'all have been super generous with your time, man. I definitely appreciate y'all, brothers, man. And it's so necessary, man. Like I love it. I love the fact that people such as yourselves are taking it upon yourselves to be the leaders, man. Like we can't keep looking towards Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton. Those brothers are getting older now. Like it's time for us
Yeah,
to
pass the torch,
actually,
man. Pass that
yeah.
baton. I'm ready to run my 100 meters. You
Yep.
know what I'm saying? I'm ready to run my 100 meters. And again, like I said, man, Trey sitting there with his beautiful daughter, Truth. Like, how can you look your daughter in the eyes knowing that you didn't do nothing for the world that they got to grow up in? What
Yep.
kind of man would you be if you didn't just stood by and let America turn upside down, and then you die and you leave them to live in that America? What kind of man would we be?
Mm-hmm.
Man.
Like, for real. And knowing that we got the resources, that's the other thing, right? A lot of people probably want to do something, but they don't have the resources. We know we got the resources. We got the plane money. You know what I'm saying? To fly to another city and go stand up with our brothers. How dare we sit back and not doing nothing, knowing that we can, knowing that we got a voice in these different communities. We're blessed the fact that our voice doesn't just resonate in the city of Houston where we live at. It resonates in cities all over America. You know what I'm
All
saying?
over the
I'm not gonna
world.
sit down. I'm
All
not gonna
over the
sit
world.
down with that.
1,000,000%.
It's wasted.
Yeah.
It's wasted on us if we don't use it to help and better our people and the world in general. Then that authority and that privilege that we have, you know what I'm saying? And let's be honest, man, because I be trying to have this conversation about privilege. And like, I'm a celebrity, I'm a person of influence, right? So I got a level of privilege that's afforded to me because of the fact that I'm an entertainer and I just sold a bunch of records and done a bunch of concerts and made some music that people like. So I get to cut the line to get into places sometimes. I get a good table at restaurants. I got stores that'll hold me those sneakers that people stand in line for all day. And I'm willing to acknowledge my privilege in this country based on my position. But I worked hard to get this privilege. It wasn't given to me. You have people in this country, they're born with that privilege. As soon as they come out the womb, they have privilege bestowed upon them. I can acknowledge my privilege. Why won't they acknowledge theirs, man?
We
Yeah.
need it.
You know, it's just so much of this stuff, man, that drives me crazy. You know, that it's a lot, man. It's a lot to process.
Oh,
But I
they think,
try to keep
hey,
my cool.
they throwing tear gas.
Shit.
Look at these people in the
Oh,
streets of America where they pay taxes, where they live and work to better the conditions of this country, having to run away in fear in their country on their streets.
oh
That's not
shit.
right.
Throwing
That's not what
tear
I.
gas.
That's not what my grandfathers and great grandfathers. That's not what they died for. The people lived through Jim Crow. They lived through segregation. They lived through church bombings. They lived through all of that, hoping and praying at night that we wouldn't have to deal with it. And look at us. We're still left in the same condition. Living in a two-story house don't mean shit. A flat screen TV don't mean shit. Some Gucci shoes and a belt don't mean shit. If we still don't, if we, because you can have all that shit on and still die in the streets of America like a dog. So
Man.
that shit don't
Fact.
mean nothing, giving us the ability to move in the neighborhood with y'all. Because as soon as a couple of us move in, y'all move out.
I mean, look at the young man. He was just
Oh
jogging. He
shit.
was in the neighborhood. He was just jogging, man. And they ran up and killed him for no reason.
Why they
No,
shooting?
they had a reason. They had a reason. That's the problem. They're not killing us for no reason. They understand exactly why they're killing us. Because we deal in an America where the
All right,
administration
we gotta go.
has emboldened that kind of behavior against people that don't agree with our president.
Yeah.
That's the problem, and that's the reason. They realize now that because they live in a level of privilege. They live in a level
Oh,
of the fact that they can commit certain crimes against certain people, and the Justice Department
oh,
isn't gonna come and do nothing. Eric Garner been dead for what, 5 or 6 years? What happened? Bill Barr became the head of the Justice Department and dismissed the case. So we can't even plead to the highest courts in America. Look at the Supreme Court. It's been manipulated to the point now where whatever the president believes is strengthened by the highest court in this country. So people know that they can commit these crimes against people of color in this country, and that the highest courts in America and the highest levels of authority in America will be on their side. What kind of goddamn country is that, man? and people don't want to vote, y'all got it backwards. Y'all hustling backwards, man. It
Man,
ain't gonna change. I hear people high behind it ain't gonna change nothing. Well, what you've been doing ain't changed nothing either. So why
That's
not give that shit a try?
but that's the same thing when I tell people about standing up. Guess what? Do we want to be in a situation where we get brutalized or murdered and do nothing about it, or if we already, it's a chance it can happen to us anyway? Why the fuck won't we stand up?
Yeah, that's gonna happen to you anyway. If people in your community, if the threat in your present community in the neighborhood where you live in know that you're not gonna fight back, they will move against you.
Yep.
Correct?
Right.
correct. One
Correct.
million
So
percent.
so why give people that why let people know that you wouldn't stand up? Why do that on a national basis, on a state basis, on a citywide basis against your oppressors? Because
Yep.
if they find out you're not gonna fight back, they're gonna move on you anyway.
Cause
You
you,
gonna have to kill me. I'm
yeah.
not gonna lay down for nobody. You gonna have to kill me,
I
and you
tell.
gonna have a hard time doing it too, because I'm
I,
coming to kill as well. You're not just gonna take my life. I ain't gonna give it to you.
yep.
Yeah,
I'm sick of this shit,
1,000,000%.
man. This shit not cool, bro. Now I wish I was in Atlanta, Trey. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Look, but you know, you gotta know our turf ain't too far. I'm just when we get off, we gotta figure out exactly what's going on.
Yeah, we talked about this earlier today. We got to be prepared to make sure we moving right in the city of Houston. That's why we're not in a position to stay in these other cities as long as we would like to, because we knew just a minute it was going to be a minute before our city was going to light up.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of time.
And they need niggas like us on that turf, like period.
People need to be
Absolutely.
able, when they decide to stand up for themselves in their community, they need to be able to look in the eyes and look at the faces of the people that they look up to every other time and see them people.
Yeah. Bun, I'm gonna make sure I
Real
tap in
true.
a little while. Shaheem, it's a blessing, bro. Cause I know my shit finna cut off probably in the middle of me talking.
Yes,
Man,
man.
go
We,
go
we
go play with your
appreciate you,
baby girl,
man.
man. We'll tap in a minute.
All right, love y'all.
Love, bro.
Love.
Stay safe, man. Boy, I can't thank you. I can't thank you enough, man. This talk is just so necessary, man. And we have to communicate with each other. That's the only way that we are gonna get organized.
Facts. That's facts. And those that know have to teach. Right? Like and I tell my people all the time, young people are good listeners, but they're great imitators. So you can tell your children to be good people, but if they see you being bad people, they're more prone to do what you do rather than listen to what you say. So that's why I feel it's important for me to be active out here. I need my family to see that I'm a stand-up man, that I'm not gonna back down. They need to know and be comfortable, and rest comfortably in the fact that I'm going to stand up for them, that I'm going to fight for them, that I will put my life on the line for them at any given goddamn moment. Period.
So important, man. Bun, I thank you so much, man. I know you
Thank you,
gotta
Shy.
gotta be with your grandkids. Please give the queen a hug for me, man. She is the ultimate. We love her just as much as we love you, man. She's always royalty when we see her, man. We appreciate you.
Man, Shy, I want to thank you as always for whatever platform that you're given, because you've been on multiple in the years that I've known you. You've always used it for the right thing. You've always lent your platform to the voice of reason and the voice of progress in this country, man. And you're a godsend for that, brother. You're a legend in your own right, man. So if nobody's ever told you that, I'm telling you that, man. You've always been in the fight for us, because just by lending us this platform and this opportunity to speak our truths, man, you yourself are a soldier in arms with us, man. And we thank you, my brother. And I love you for that. I know you outside of the industry and outside of what we do for a living, man. And I've always been proud and honored to be your brother, man. I love you. You be careful out there, man. And keep doing the hard work, man. You're on the right side of history, my brother. Just so you know. You're on the right
Thank
side
you.
of history.
Thank you, man. I love you too, Bun. And I'm right with you. I'm gonna come out there, man.
We'll be here, brother.
We
We
gotta
always
do it.
welcome you with open arms, Shy. Anything you need, we got you.
Absolutely. Thank you, brother.
No problem, man.
Turn it
God
down a little
bless.
bit.
Everybody be safe out there on the
Yes. So